There we go.
Yeah.
Hi. Welcome. We are back.
I didn't realize you must play. No. Yeah.
Welcome, y'all, to
What's
the
up?
Richmond Wellness Studio. Aubrey Eicher here. I have the lovely, incredible Brian Tucker
Hey, y'all.
with me.
Peace and love.
And
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah.
Get your coffee.
Yeah.
Your
Amen.
tea. Your water. All of the above.
Get your starbs.
So today we wanted to talk about social pressure and the reality of it and how to work not only with it but I guess kind of through it and around it. This has been something that's come up with a lot of clients that I've been working with, and specifically having social pressure around their specific decisions that they want to make in their lives. Like they want to be healthier, they want to eat healthier, they want to be more active or whatnot. But at the end of the day, they're having some issues with like breaking out of the mold of their current lifestyle and what their friends and associates like to do. So I'm helping them to work through like, okay, here's kind of the process, you know, of defining where you want to go and all that kind of stuff. And so that's where we wanted to talk to today.
Yeah. And as we all live in the world and we all have goals and plans and ideas and things that we want to do, and we also, all of us just face the reality of kind of what it's like to sort of be defined by your culture or the standards of your peer group, and dealing with peer pressure if you decide to make somewhat dramatic changes to your lifestyle that could be perceived as unpopular or uncool based on society's view. So when you're locked inside of a certain worldview, it could be hard to get out of it. So there's kind of a process to learning how to navigate that tension.
And it's sometimes it's not even just like society, but it's just like the people that are directly around you, and these are your world. This is your world. This is your life, and so it's your perception of it. And it's like, well, anything that shakes that up can be like, whoa, like a lot to handle. I know for me, for an example, I was talking with a girlfriend yesterday, and she goes to a congregation that I used to, a church congregation that I used to be really involved with, like really a part of. And about a year and some change ago, like I stepped away from that, and I just made some different decisions for my life and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to expend my energy. And you know, we're sitting talking over lunch yesterday, and she goes like, "So how come you don't come anymore? You know, are you going somewhere else?"
Oh, that's juicy.
And I said, "Well, no, I'm not. It's not. It's not y'all. Mm-mm. You know, it's not. It wasn't any like bad vibes or bad blood or anything like that. It was just like I wanted to make some different decisions, and not everybody understands that. You know, particularly when you get into kind of the groups that will say like, well, you should be living life in a particular way. You should be living life the way that I live. And I just realized that wasn't a way that I wanted to live my life, and that's not a value that I live by. So.
And it's not a knock to them or a slight or a disrespect to them. It's just about being clear about, you know, for me, I have to step away from this, and I'm being pulled to do different things, and it's not a disrespect to other people's views. It's very beautiful that they believe what they believe and are doing what they're doing, and they are very committed to it and very active in it.
And I support that.
Yeah, you can support that without necessarily, you know, subscribing yourself to it. You don't have to be a part of it if it's no longer serving your own highest good. I remember, so 8 years ago, really 9 years ago now, when I kind of first stepped into my own sort of wellness journey, and I kind of hit bottom with anxiety, depression, and was in a really dark spot some time ago. My first thing was just to get fit and lose weight. So I lost a whole bunch of weight and started running. And right around the same time, I started looking for ways to change and ways to deepen my own health and elevate myself. And one thing I did was stop drinking. And that was around 2010, around this time, 8 years ago. And I just said, okay, I'm not gonna drink right now, just because I just felt like I didn't want to do anything that was gonna hinder my success. I was like doing really well with it, and it really didn't mean much to me at the time to keep drinking. I went to a big fancy college where drinking is like a recreational sport, so I understand and I'm not mad at it. But at the time, like for me, it was important to let that go. And I did it successfully for 2 years, but I was living at home during those years for the most part. And like when I got around my peers again, I remember feeling that pressure and often caving into that pressure because I just didn't have the strength, the inner strength or the conviction or the maturity really to say, no, this is what I'm doing for me. So it's really put to the test when it's around, when you get back around your peer group. And it's very, very heavy pressure. It's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those group dynamics, they breed just a type of a likeness. I mean, we all have this kind of like innate sense that we want to belong.
Yeah.
You know, so we kind of mold a lot of times to the desires and the actions and all of those things of the group that we're around. Maybe it's coworkers, maybe it's college mates, maybe it's
That's big,
you know, just friend group that you hang out with, neighbors, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if I start thinking about, and this is where my brain was going, like, oh yeah, when I started running, like I didn't care initially about like the gear that I had, but then when I started like running with particular, you know, groups, I was like, I became aware of, oh, that's the cool run gear. Like those are the cool shorts. Those are the shorts that you want, you know, and like stuff like that, you know. But it's like if you're not really like associating with a particular group, then that's not really maybe important. So I think that there can be a lot to be said there is like, you know, who is it that you are hanging out with or associating with? And are they people that support the same things that you do or are going kind of the same direction with their lives as you're going? And is that something that you need to assess?
Yeah, and if you need to assess it, it's okay to assess it. And it's not, I'm not saying this is an easy thing. We're definitely not saying it's easy to say, okay, well, I need to start kind of choosing to spend time with different people, or maybe just choosing to spend less time with those particular people. It's not easy, and I think, you know, it'll breed kind of certain conversations. You may have to confront, you know, certain criticisms of people. I think it's important to understand that nobody is any better than you, and nobody is any worse than you. And at the same time, nobody will say or do anything to you that's not a direct reflection of who they are and what they feel in a given moment. And nobody will do or say anything to you that you don't allow. So there's a way and there's a grace of dealing with the pushback or the criticism when it comes up. You can maintain your own dignity and just say, you know something, I'm just trying something different. You know, I've been doing that thing for a while. I've been drinking for a while, but I'm kind of committed to my health in a different way. So I'm just choosing to let that go for a while. You don't have to get reactive and kind of go into them and allow it to make you feel insecure. Most of the time, those criticisms are coming from a place of insecurity from the very onset. So, you know, if I feel good about what I'm doing, I don't really need to criticize what you're doing.
Right.
You know, if I actually I'm happy with my health, I'm happy with my life, I'm happy with my relationship, I don't have much to say about what other people are doing. You know, usually it's when I'm not living at a high level in those areas is when I have things to say about other people.
Well, it's like if we're not happy in here, then we get wrapped up in everybody else's stuff, you know, and start like judging and saying, well, you know, like you should do this differently. When really like that should be flipped around and they should be looking. We should be looking at ourselves and saying, okay, what needs to be different for me? Because I'm obviously focusing everywhere but what's going on here.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where we at?
So I would say, really identifying what is most important to you would be really critical. And a side note with that is what I wanted to say is with the group dynamics, if you're assessing who you're hanging out with and if you're seeing like, you know, maybe this needs to change in some way, it's probably not going to be an overnight thing. Like I wouldn't recommend it being like an immediate overhaul, like, all right, bye.
Right.
You know, it's a continual process, you know, and I would approach it with love and care. And, you know, as we go forward with the rest of what we're saying here in terms of like, you know, identifying what's most important to you and how those things play out, do it in that essence of love and not like, I don't know, I've gotten in a place, you know, mentally and kind of emotionally before where I was like angry or, you know, resentful or this or that. And I would recommend against that.
Yeah,
If you can help that.
Yeah, you don't have to, like, a lot of, and why it's hard, a lot of us are kind of just attuned to a certain way of life. We're kind of just getting through our days, and we're not compelled. We have a million things that are all competing for our attention every day, and it's kind of hard to find quiet and space in between all that stuff and be like, okay, so what are my triggers? What's actually important to me? What are my values? What do I actually want? Like, what would a successful day look like for me? What would a successful year for me look like? And, irrespective of all these other distractions that I have to keep at bay. So there's that, right? Where everything is so noisy all the time. So a lot of us don't even feel compelled to sit for a moment and decide what's actually important to me. It's really, really easy to get caught up in just doing what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. So just when you finally start to sort of like take yourself on and start to set new values and goals for yourself, like that initial work can be very, very challenging and very, it's really deep dive work. It's very hard to do, at first. And I think like, that's the reason why it's so hard, is because of all the noise and because of all the pressure. So once you identify that, it's having the conviction within yourself and being really clear, I think, about what it is that you actually want. When you are at that place of where you have more clarity, and when your why is strong enough, you'll find it a little bit easier after a while to not succumb to the peer pressure and not really worry as much about what people think, because you're good.
Right.
You're good, and you're comfortable and you're confident and secure within.
And that you've spent the time really defining and digging and figuring out what was important to you. Like, I know for me, after I went through my depression in 2015, 2016, I took basically all of 2016 and like a year to figure out what is important to me.
Yeah, what's actually important to you.
And start to align my life with that, like, oh yeah, that's right. Health in all areas is important to me, not just, relationship or whatever. I had to put health at the top of my list because everything I do, I want it to be healthy. So it took me a while not only to identify it, but then to align my life with those things and to make decisions based on using my values as a compass.
Yeah, and that could be a good exercise for everybody out there. Like, if you are calling in more and you are maybe not quite happy with the way things have been going, you find that you're kind of maybe on a treadmill a little bit and you're not really getting anywhere, or take some time, like take out your notepad or your journal and just really start to sit and reflect on what's actually important. Like, you can write that question at the top of your page, like, what is important to me? Like, make a list of 1 through 5. Like, what do you actually value? And are you living in ways that are aligned with that? And you'll find, like, it might take a year or two. It might take a month, but you have to start. You start with something. It can be the silliest thing in the world, but just start somewhere, and you'll learn. You'll find that you'll make different decisions, and peer pressure will not matter quite as much.
It becomes less important to be concerned about what everybody else is thinking. Like, you kind of realize, like, oh, I am the creator of my life. I am the master of my ship, that kind of a thing. Like, and that, the decisions that other people make aren't yours. Like, they're not created to affect your life, but that you can do that with your own. Like, when I started understanding my own power, my own creative power in my life, I was like, oh, okay, so it really doesn't matter what, so-and-so down the street is doing or not doing, or thinking about what I'm doing or not doing. It just became a non-issue. Yeah,
it's hard to make choices from your own value compass if you're not clear what that value compass is for you, and that can be like really scary work in the beginning, but it's, I think, necessary. Necessary, and it'll come to you in different ways. Like, it can be through running or training or like yoga or whatever it is for you. But it's important, and you'll find that your life belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anybody else. So it doesn't really matter. You don't have to really concern yourself too much with what other people are saying about why you're doing or what you're doing, or it doesn't matter. Really.
So if you haven't given yourself permission, we're giving you permission. So.
Yeah. Yes, please be empowered to do whatever you want.
Yes.
It doesn't. Nobody has a say or a right to tell you that it's not cool. Like when I started being less concerned with being cool, I became a whole lot cooler. Like what you say, we were talking the other day about it. I'm just.
He's
we're
really
not
cool.
really interested in being cool, but then you just become cooler.
Yeah, you just become yourself. And then people are like, oh wait,
cool.
you're different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being me. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. I'm not trying to fit in. I'm not trying to, get what everybody else has or
Right.
whatever. I found whatever.
Yeah.
I like the style I like. I like the car that I drive. I like this and that and everything else. And, oh, you like it too? Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
I was already happy with it myself.
Yeah. And you'll find a lot of times like people will poke fun at you. They'll make jokes about you sometimes out of love and out of like charm and good humor at times. But a lot of times like they'll come after that and they'll ask you about what you're doing. They really actually are genuinely interested and they want to actually apply certain things to their life. Most of the time it's the curiosity. It's the I'm looking at you and I'm seeing that maybe there is something else that I can do because you're showing me that I'm responsible for areas in my life that I might not be showing up to. You're showing me that, man, if you can do it, I can do it too. So maybe why haven't I done it? So I'm like, I'm curious about it, but my defense mechanism is to make fun or whatever. So there's always that below the surface, in people's reactions to you. So you don't have to just have empathy for people.
Yeah.
Have empathy for yourself. And most of the time it's curiosity and interest. It's not really criticism.
And we just don't always know how to communicate it as human beings.
Yeah.
We didn't get that class, I don't think, in like elementary, middle school, when all those times were like super hard and awkward. And can we get a communication 101 like in 6th grade? Because that would have been really awesome.
Yeah. So go take the yoga class. Go start running. Go take the dance class. Even if you're 35 years old, if you want to do that, go do it.
If you thought about it, do it.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Go on that date. Go on that blind date with that person. Go ask that person out. Go do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
And watch what happens.
Yeah. So, continue the conversation with us. If you've got questions, comments, anything that you want to talk about under the sun, leave us the comments.
Yeah.
We'll
Comment.
look forward to talking with you.
Share with your friends.
Yes.
If it inspired you, hit the share button. Love
We'll
y'all.
talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah.
Bye.
Love y'all.